The Vanishing Act. Commander Xilef drummed his chitinous fingers against the crystalline surface of the Galactic Council table. The massive chamber, suspended in the void above Centauri Prime, housed representatives from 37 species, yet today's gathering felt unusually tense. The holographic star map at the center displayed a section of space that had remained untouched for 8 centuries, a void where the human territories once thrived. The radiation signatures are unmistakable, Ambassador Driva announced, her melodious voice carrying across the chamber. The Solaran's translucent skin pulsed with bioluminescent patterns as she manipulated the holographic controls. Our deep space probes detected artificial quantum fluctuations originating from the Terran exclusion zone. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The humans had vanished without a trace during the Great Upheaval, their entire civilization seemingly evaporating overnight. No debris, no messages, no survivors, just empty planets and derelict stations. The mystery had haunted galactic scholars for generations. Perhaps it's merely residual technology, suggested Counselor Vrax of the Thorian Confederacy, his crystalline form refracting the chamber's light. Human machinery was known for its durability. Some automated systems could still be functioning. Xilef clicked his mandibles skeptically. The Kravari had always been suspicious of the circumstances surrounding humanity's disappearance. His ancestors had fought alongside humans during the Void Wars, witnessing firsthand their tenacity and resourcefulness. Such a species didn't simply vanish. These readings are fresh, Driva insisted, expanding the holographic display. The patterns matched theoretical signatures of dimensional folding technology, something far beyond what humanity possessed 8 centuries ago. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. If the readings were accurate, someone or something was actively manipulating spacetime in the abandoned human territories. The question was, who? Chancellor Meridian, eldest of the council, rose from his seat, his ancient eyes, having witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, fixed upon the anomaly. We must investigate. The stability of our borders depends on understanding what lurks in that forbidden space. Xilef volunteered immediately. The Kravari battlecruiser Eternal Vigilance was the most advanced vessel in the combined fleet, equipped with sensors capable of detecting the slightest gravitational disturbance. More importantly, Xilef harbored a personal interest in solving the human mystery. His great-grandmother had served alongside human commanders during the Void Wars, always speaking of their honor and ingenuity with reverence. 3 cycles later, the Eternal Vigilance approached the edge of the Terran exclusion zone. The void ahead appeared normal to visual sensors, but Xilef's instruments painted a different picture. Quantum fluctuations danced across his screens like ghostly fireflies, growing stronger as they approached the boundary. "Commander," his science officer reported, antennae twitching nervously, "I'm detecting structured patterns within the fluctuations. They're not random. They're encoded." Xilef leaned forward, studying the data streams. The patterns were indeed artificial, reminiscent of ancient human encryption protocols, but far more sophisticated. "Can you decipher them?" "Negative, sir. The complexity exceeds our computational capacity by several orders of magnitude." As they crossed into the exclusion zone, the ship's sensors went haywire. False contacts appeared and vanished, gravitational readings fluctuated wildly, and their navigation systems began reporting impossible coordinates. Yet through the chaos, a single signal remained constant, a beacon of sorts, broadcasting from deeper within the territory. "Take us in," Xilef ordered, overriding his crew's protests. "Maintain combat readiness." The journey through the zone defied logic. Space itself seemed to twist and fold, creating pathways that shouldn't exist according to known physics. Stars shifted position, nebulae appeared where none had been charted, and time itself seemed to flow erratically. Their chronometers showed they had been traveling for mere hours, yet stellar positions suggested weeks had passed. Finally, they emerged into a clear pocket of space surrounding an ancient human colony world, Earth's first extrasolar settlement, New Terra. But the planet they found bore little resemblance to historical records. Where once sprawling cities had covered the continents, now only pristine wilderness remained. Yet the quantum readings were strongest here, emanating from beneath the surface. Launching probe, Sileth commanded. The reconnaissance drone descended through the atmosphere, its cameras revealing untouched forests and crystal-clear oceans. But as it approached the source of the readings, everything changed. The ground opened like a mechanical iris, revealing a vast underground complex. Structures of impossible geometry rose from the depths, architecture that seemed to defy gravity and conventional engineering. Energy readings spiked off the charts as defensive systems activated, tracking the probe with weapons that shouldn't exist. "Commander," the tactical officer shouted, multiple contacts emerging from subspace. They're human ships. Sileth watched in disbelief as vessels materialized around his cruiser, sleek, angular designs that bore the unmistakable hallmarks of human engineering, yet incorporating technology that surpassed anything in the known galaxy. These weren't relics from 8 centuries ago. They were state-of-the-art warships that made the Eternal Vigilance look primitive by comparison. A communication channel opened, and for the first time in 800 years, a human voice echoed through an alien bridge. "Craveri vessel, this is Admiral Chen Wei of the Terran Defense Force. You have entered restricted space. State your intentions." Sileth's mandibles went slack. The humans hadn't vanished. They had evolved. And they had been watching, waiting, all this time. "Admiral Chen," Sileth responded, struggling to maintain his composure. "I am Commander Sileth of the Galactic Council Expeditionary Force. We detected unusual readings and came to investigate. We believed humanity was extinct." A pause. Then Chen's voice returned, carrying the weight of centuries. "Extinct? No, Commander. We simply chose to step back from the galactic stage. But circumstances have changed. It's time for humanity to return." The human fleet moved with precision, forming a protective sphere around the Eternal Vigilance. Sileth noted their weapons remained powered but not targeted, a show of strength without aggression. "What circumstances?" Sileth asked, his tactical mind already calculating the implications of humanity's return. "We've been monitoring galactic communications," Chen replied. "The Devourers are coming." Ice ran through Sileth's veins. The Devourers, an extragalactic threat that had been detected at the edge of known space, a force that consumed entire star systems. The Council had been preparing defenses, but their projections showed minimal chance of success. "You know of them?" Sileth asked. "We've been tracking their approach for centuries," Chen confirmed. "That's why we withdrew, to prepare, to evolve, to develop the technology needed to face them. And now, Commander Sileth, we're ready to stand with our old allies once more." As if to emphasize the point, more human ships emerged from subspace, hundreds, then thousands, each more advanced than anything the Council possessed. Sileth realized he was witnessing the unveiling of a force that had been quietly growing in the shadows for 8 centuries. "Return to the Council," Chen instructed. "Tell them humanity remembers its friends and its debts. We're coming home, and we're bringing the means to ensure our galaxy's survival." The Eternal Vigilance departed the exclusion zone with its escort of human vessels, carrying news that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. Humanity hadn't abandoned them. They had been standing sentinel all along, preparing for a threat that only they had foreseen. As they approached Council space, Sileth couldn't help but feel a mixture of awe and trepidation. The humans were back, more powerful than ever, and the galaxy would never be the same. The hidden network. The Galactic Council chamber erupted into chaos as Commander Sileth delivered his report. Holographic displays showed the human fleet emerging from the Terran exclusion zone, their advanced vessels casting long shadows across the star map. Representatives from dozens of species argued, shouted, and gestured wildly, their universal translators struggling to keep up with the cacophony. Chancellor Meridian struck his ceremonial staff against the floor, the resonant tone cutting through the discord. Order. We will have order. His ancient voice carried the weight of millennia. Commander Xelef, you claim these humans possess technology beyond our comprehension. Xelef nodded, his chitinous armor gleaming under the chamber's lights. Not just possess, Chancellor. They've mastered sciences we've only theorized about. Dimensional folding, quantum entanglement communication, energy-to-matter conversion, all operational, not experimental. Ambassador Driva's bioluminescent patterns flickered with concern. But how? 8 centuries of isolation couldn't produce such advancement. It would take millennia of research and development. Unless, Xelef responded, they never truly isolated themselves. The revelation hung in the air like a gravitational anomaly. Across the galaxy, monitoring stations began reporting strange phenomena. Ancient satellites, long thought defunct, suddenly activated. Hidden arrays buried in asteroid fields powered up. Quantum relays sparked to life on abandoned moons. A vast network of human technology, dormant for centuries, awakened in perfect synchronization. Deep beneath the surface of New Terra, Admiral Chen Wei stood in the command center of humanity's primary nexus. Holographic displays surrounded him, showing the activation sequence spreading across thousands of light years. His weathered face, bearing the marks of extended cryo-sleep cycles, remained impassive as reports flooded in. All nodes responding, Admiral, reported Commander Sarah Kim, his second-in-command. The network is fully operational. We have complete sensor coverage of Council space. Chen nodded, remembering the day 800 years ago, when humanity had made its fateful decision. The Great Exodus hadn't been a retreat. It had been a strategic redeployment. The memory surfaced unbidden. Earth's leaders gathered in the underground bunker, watching as the first signs of the Devourers appeared in deep space telescopes. The decision had been unanimous. Humanity would fake its own extinction, go underground, and prepare. They would build, research, and evolve, while the galaxy continued its petty conflicts, oblivious to the approaching storm. Admiral, Kim interrupted his reverie. We're receiving multiple hails from Council vessels. They're demanding explanations. Put them through to the main channel, Chen ordered. It's time they learned the truth. The central hologram shifted, displaying the worried faces of the Galactic Council. Chancellor Meridian spoke first. Admiral Chen, your reappearance has caused considerable concern. These hidden installations, this network, what is its purpose? Chen stepped forward, his uniform bearing the evolved insignia of United Earth. Chancellor, members of the Council, 8 centuries ago, humanity detected an existential threat approaching our galaxy. We calculated that our combined forces, using the technology of that era, had a 0.3% chance of survival. Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the council chamber. Rather than waste resources in futile preparations, Chen continued, we chose to disappear. We established underground civilizations on hundreds of worlds, connected by quantum tunnels and protected by dimensional shields. Every human alive today is the product of selective evolution, genetic optimization, and rigorous training. You abandoned us, accused Counselor Vrax, his crystalline form pulsing with anger. We protected you, Chen countered. By removing ourselves from galactic politics, we eliminated a major source of conflict. The wars that would have erupted over our technology would have weakened the galaxy precisely when it needed unity. Instead, we watched, we learned, and we prepared. Ambassador Driva leaned forward. The network, what does it do? Everything, Chen replied with a slight smile. Early warning, strategic defense, resource allocation, emergency evacuation. Every inhabited world in Council space now falls under its protection. We've spent 8 centuries turning the entire galaxy into a fortress. As if to demonstrate, Chen gestured to his tactical officer. Suddenly, every council member's personal display showed detailed scans of their home systems, defensive weak points, optimal evacuation routes, hidden resource caches. information that should have been impossible to gather. "You've been spying on us?" Silaf asked, more impressed than offended. "Protecting you," Chen corrected. "The Devourers consume not just matter, but information. They adapt to defensive strategies, evolve counters to weapon systems. The only way to defeat them is to present a united front with technology they've never encountered." "And you believe your technology is sufficient?" Chancellor Meridian inquired. Chen's expression hardened. "We've run over 8 million simulations. With the network fully operational and the human fleet deployed, our chances of survival have increased to 94%. The number stunned the Council into silence. From near certain extinction to an overwhelming probability of victory, the shift was almost incomprehensible. "There's more," Chen added. "During our isolation, we discovered something about human potential. Under extreme pressure, facing extinction, our species doesn't just adapt, it transcends. Every human alive today can interface directly with the network, process quantum calculations, and perceive dimensional variations. We've become something new." To demonstrate, Chen closed his eyes. Around him, holographic displays rearranged themselves, responding to his thoughts alone. Data streams flowed through the air like luminous rivers, bending to his will. "Impossible," whispered Driva. "Necessary," Chen corrected. "The Devourers are unlike anything we've faced. They exist partially out of phase with our reality, making conventional weapons ineffective. But humans who can perceive and manipulate dimensional boundaries, we can fight them on their own terms." Commander Xilaf stepped forward in the council chamber. "Admiral, what do you require from us?" "Coordination," Chen replied immediately. "The network needs to interface with your defense systems. Your fleets need to be retrofitted with our technology. And most importantly, we need your trust." "Trust," Vrax scoffed. "After 8 centuries of deception." "Not deception," Chen said softly. "Preparation. Every action we took was to ensure the survival of all sentient life in this galaxy. Now, the Devourers are less than 50 cycles away. We can debate the ethics of our decision, or we can work together to survive." Chancellor Meridian raised his hand, silencing further objections. "Admiral Chen, you speak of transcendence. Are you still human?" Chen smiled, and for a moment, his form seemed to flicker, existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "We are what humanity needed to become. But yes, Chancellor, we are still human. We still value life, freedom, and the right of all sentient beings to exist. That's why we're here. That's why we've returned." The council chamber fell silent as members contemplated the revelation. Finally, Meridian spoke. "Very well, Admiral. The Council accepts your offer of alliance. May the stars forgive us if we're wrong." As the formal agreements were drawn up, the network continued its activation sequence. Across the galaxy, dormant human technologies came online, transforming ordinary star systems into fortified bastions. The greatest deception in galactic history was over, and the real battle was about to begin. In the depths of space, beyond the galactic rim, the Devourers sensed the change. Their ancient hunger drove them forward, but for the first time in eons, they detected something unexpected, resistance that might actually succeed. The silent watch had ended. Humanity had returned, not as conquerors, but as guardians, and they brought with them the most powerful weapon of all, hope. The reckoning. The first Devourer Vanguard ships materialized at the galactic rim like tears in reality itself. Their biomechanical forms defied conventional physics, existing partially in dimensions beyond normal space-time. Where they passed, stars dimmed and space itself seemed to warp, leaving trails of quantum distortion in their wake. Admiral Chen Wei stood on the bridge of the Transcendence, humanity's flagship, as the network fed real-time data directly into his enhanced consciousness. Around him, the combined fleets of the Galactic Council and the returned human forces formed a defensive line spanning dozens of light years. Vanguard fleet composition: 18 primary entities, approximately 300 secondary forms, reported Commander Kim, her neural interface glowing as she processed the incoming data. They're probing our defenses. Chen nodded, his mind simultaneously coordinating with thousands of human commanders across the defensive line. Initiate Protocol Prometheus. Let's show them what 8 centuries of preparation looks like. Across the void, hidden human installations activated. Artificial singularities bloomed into existence, creating gravitational barriers that forced the Devourers into predetermined attack corridors. Quantum disruptors fired, temporarily anchoring the extra-dimensional entities in normal space, where conventional weapons could affect them. Commander Sileth, now serving as liaison officer aboard the Transcendence, watched in awe as human strategy unfolded. Your tactical planning is unprecedented. We had time to study their patterns, Chen replied, manipulating a holographic display with mere thoughts. The Devourers consumed 3 galaxies before reaching ours. We analyzed every recorded encounter, every failed defense. Their adaptation abilities are formidable, but not instantaneous. The first engagement erupted in spectacular fashion. Human ships, equipped with dimensional shift drives, flickered in and out of reality, striking at the Devourers from angles that shouldn't exist. Council vessels, retrofitted with human technology, provided supporting fire with weapons that manipulated fundamental forces. A Devourer entity, resembling a crystalline squid the size of a moon, launched tendrils of dark energy toward a Kravari battle group. Before they could connect, a human frigate materialized between them, projecting a dimensional barrier that reflected the attack back onto its source. The entity shrieked across multiple dimensions as its own weapon tore through its form. First wave neutralized, Kim reported, but they're already adapting, detecting modifications to their attack patterns. Chen had expected this. Execute Evolutionary Protocol Alpha. All units, randomize your quantum signatures. The human fleet responded instantly, each ship altering its fundamental quantum state. To the Devourer's senses, it appeared as if the entire fleet had been replaced by completely different vessels. The confusion bought precious seconds as the entities struggled to recalibrate. In the council chamber, now serving as a strategic command center, Chancellor Meridian and the other leaders watched the battle unfold through the network's feeds. Ambassador Dreva's patterns flickered rapidly as she processed the tactical data. The humans fight like nothing we've ever seen, she observed. They don't just respond to the Devourers, they anticipate them. More than that, Counselor Vrax added, his earlier skepticism replaced by admiration. They're forcing the Devourers to adapt in ways that make them vulnerable. It's brilliant. Back on the front lines, the battle intensified. The Devourers, realizing they faced an unprecedented challenge, committed their reserves. Massive entities emerged from fold space, each one a unique horror evolved over millennia of conquest. One resembled a living nebula with countless eyes, another a geometric impossibility that hurt to look at directly. Chen felt the pressure mounting but remained calm. Initiate Phase 2. Activate the Nexus Points. Throughout the galaxy, hidden human installations revealed their true purpose. Each was a Nexus Point, a massive quantum computer linked directly to the network. Together, they formed a galaxy-spanning array capable of manipulating spacetime on a fundamental level. Nexus Array Online, Kim confirmed. Quantum field stabilization at 97%. Execute Dimensional Lock, Chen ordered. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Nexus Array generated a field that forced the Devourers fully into normal spacetime, stripping away their extra-dimensional advantages. Suddenly vulnerable, the entities found themselves facing weapons specifically designed to exploit their weaknesses. Human dreadnoughts opened fire with singularity cannons, creating micro-black holes that tore through Devourer forms. Council ships, coordinated through the network, executed perfect formation attacks that prevented the entities from adapting quickly enough. Yet the Devourers weren't finished. The largest entity, a creature that dwarfed entire star systems, began to pulse with dark energy. Chen recognized the pattern immediately. "They're attempting a reality cascade," he warned. "All ships, emergency phase shift." The human fleet vanished from normal space milliseconds before reality itself cracked where they had been. The Devourer had tried to erase that section of spacetime entirely, but found only empty void. "Now," Chen commanded. The human fleet re-emerged in perfect formation around the massive entity. Each ship channeled power through the network, creating a lattice of quantum energy that enclosed the creature. As the lattice contracted, the entity thrashed, its screams echoing across dimensions. "Containment holding," Kim reported. "Initiating conversion sequence." This was humanity's ultimate weapon, not destruction, but transformation. The quantum lattice didn't destroy the Devourer. It rewrote its fundamental nature, converting its hunger into harmony, its destructive impulses into creative ones. Light exploded from the trapped entity as the conversion completed. Where once a world-eating horror had existed, now floated a beam of pure energy, its purpose fundamentally altered. The other Devourers recoiled in what could only be described as terror. "They're retreating," Silaf exclaimed. "No," Chen corrected, watching the tactical display. "They're regrouping." This was just the beginning. Indeed, the remaining Devourers withdrew beyond the galactic rim, but Chen could sense them gathering, preparing for a larger assault. The first battle had been won, but the war was far from over. In the aftermath, as fleets consolidated and damage was assessed, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The chamber was subdued, its members processing the reality of what they had witnessed. Chancellor Meridian addressed the assembly. "Today, we survived because of humanity's foresight and sacrifice. They gave up their place among us to become something greater, something necessary." Admiral Chen, appearing via hologram, stood before the council. This victory came at a cost. 17 human vessels were lost, along with 32 council ships. But we've proven that the Devourers can be stopped, even transformed. "What happens now?" Ambassador Driva asked. "Now we prepare for the real invasion," Chen replied. "What we faced was a scouting force. The main Devourer fleet is still coming, but we've learned something crucial. They fear change more than destruction. Our strategy moving forward won't be to destroy them, but to evolve them." "And humanity?" Silaf inquired. "Will you remain among us?" Chen smiled, and for a moment, his form seemed to encompass all of human potential, past, present, and future. "We never truly left. We simply became what was needed. The network will remain active, protecting all sentient life. Human fleets will patrol the rim. And when this war is over, we'll help rebuild, help advance, help ensure this galaxy never again faces extinction alone." The Council voted unanimously to formally recognize humanity's new role as guardians of the galaxy. It was a title earned through centuries of sacrifice and preparation. As the session concluded, Chen returned his attention to the tactical displays. The Devourers were massing beyond sensor range, but he could feel them through the network, a darkness gathering strength. "Admiral," Commander Kim approached. "Long-range sensors are detecting something massive approaching. Energy signatures are off the scale." Chen nodded, unsurprised. The Devourer overmind, the source of their collective consciousness. He turned to face his bridge crew, humans and aliens working side by side. "Signal all fleets. Prepare for the final battle." Across the galaxy, sentient beings looked to the stars with a mixture of fear and hope. Humanity had returned not as conquerors, but as protectors. They had transformed themselves to face an impossible threat, and in doing so, had shown the galaxy what true evolution meant. The silent watch had ended. The Guardians had awakened, and as the Devourer Overmind approached, bringing with it the combined might of 1,000 consumed galaxies, humanity stood ready to prove that sometimes the greatest strength lies not in destruction, but in the power to transform darkness into light. The final battle for the galaxy was about to begin, And for the first time in cosmic history, the defenders had a chance, not just to survive, but to transcend.